That was not supposed to happen.
Oh, you killed it.
No, that last one was not the right one. I wasn't supposed to click it. I was trying to get rid of it.
Oh, well.
So whatever, that happens, right?
It's fine.
Technical difficulties. Trying out a different deal here in terms of intros.
Hey, it's all a learning curve, man.
Right. I got to get the music from the other one taken care of. Apparently the free music isn't free in some areas. And so, they're like free royalty free music. And then you get on YouTube and YouTube's like copyright claim. And you're like, what? It's free. Like it came from the free music database. Like, what are you talking about? So that's been a fun, interesting endeavor.
Strike.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy though. Like the amount of things that happen in technology, in these days, like with social media and everything, and how people can just be like, oh yeah, that little part of that video, just this tiny little part is totally mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a copyright claim and I'm just going to shut you down. And you can't do anything with that video until you get rid of that portion. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, let's just be real here. Unless someone's actually like, I guess in a way, eventually we could totally, monetize our stuff. But right now, we don't have enough viewers and listeners to monetize anything. Like, let's just be real here. We're small potatoes right now. We're growing. We got some more listeners.
We ain't even a potato yet, buddy.
Yeah, we're not even the potato yet. Yeah, we're the dream of a potato. We're not even a sprout. We're just like the little piece of potato that somebody left behind and underneath a car seat somewhere, like a dead fry.
Now you're painting too deep of a picture, man.
No, it's honestly it's been nice because we are growing. We are getting some more listeners on our podcast.
Thanks to all of you guys.
Viewies.
So, really appreciate it.
So viewies, getting some more viewies. But yeah, thank you everybody for the support, for being here, being with us. This is totally awesome. We love doing this. We love being able to provide the insight that we have throughout our journeys and the things that happen. And this is a process of our journey plus helping you on your journey. So it's like a double whammy, right? We're giving you our experiences.
Talk about what we just went through, there is no better way to teach teach about the experiences we just had. And so hopefully that adds value to everybody.
Absolutely. Well, let's kick us off there, Sir Kyle, and we'll get right to it.
For sure. First, I want to say happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody out there, especially to our service members. If we have any of those who are current or former listening to our show, or if you have a spouse or a grandfather or uncle or dad or mom or whomever. Anyway,
Grandpa Jim, happy Memorial Day.
Definitely. But thank you for your service. We couldn't do stuff like this in our country without the service members that sacrifice their whatever they want to do for the good of the greater. So definitely appreciate that. With that being said, we are on episode 18.
Woo!
That's crazy. Episode 18. So welcome to another episode about, what is this? How many minutes in are we? 5 minutes in and we're doing an introduction now? We're getting good at this.
Yes.
So welcome to another episode of Those Two Dads, right? We talk everything dadpreneur here. I'm Kyle. That is Josh. Today we're going to talk about what happens if the company you're working with, like the affiliate company or the MLM company, changes their terms and conditions or their compensation plan. You've built up an audience, you've built up a revenue stream, and all of a sudden that's going to change. What are you going to do? So that is a little teaser about what we're going to talk about. But before we get going, go ahead and hit the hearts. Drop a hashtag live if you're here on Facebook or YouTube, stream with us, or hashtag replay to catch it later. If you're on the podcast, you can't hashtag anything, but we appreciate you listening. And although you can share. So be sure to tag or share these episodes with your favorite dad or mompreneur. We do love helping and sharing with others and appreciate all the support, like Josh was saying a few minutes ago. So that being said, let's jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go, big man. This is partly your real life experience story. So you want to key everybody in on what's been going on the last week and a half?
Yeah. So, interesting story is, those of you who've been following us for a while, that my wife Katie and I we're kind of multifaceted when it comes to the entrepreneurial world. While we still do have jobs, we're in a network marketing opportunity. We do affiliate marketing. I do some investing on the side, things like that. And so we have different irons in the fire, multiple streams of income. We're embodying that, wholeheartedly. And one of our major streams of income from the entrepreneurial world has been our network marketing company. And we bring in hundreds of dollars a month from that. We've been growing that consistently. It's been going well. We actually have a team of a good chunk of people. We're not huge by any means. We're not top earners or anything like that, but we make enough that it's worth doing it and we can grow it. And here about a week and a half ago, we got some notification that they're changing our terms and also affecting our compensation by these terms. And so what's funny is, just being completely honest, they didn't flat out, like, they're trying to play it as they're not changing the compensation plan. But basically what's happening is the terms that they're putting into place, they're technically quotas. They're causing our compensation to be diminished if we don't meet certain quotas. So in retrospect, it's changing the compensation plan because it's like, hey, you need to meet these certain things to be able to get this money that you used to be able to get regardless, but now it's changing. And so the hard part about that is that happens all over the place, right? Even in our jobs, that can happen where somebody can change your quota if you're in a sales position, or maybe you do service tickets. Like, I'm an IT guy. And so maybe the service tickets, you got to do so many service tickets or whatever the case may be. They can change those things on the fly, but most places won't change your pay in order to change the quotas. They might change things that happen, or might change your bonuses or things like that, but never usually the base pay. And that's what's happening here is our base pay is going to be affected if we don't meet this quota.
Not just affected though, but like it's how it's calculated, right? So like,
right,
you're generating a certain amount of revenue or income each month, and with the changes that's going to be made, it basically, you'll be earning 10% of what you make currently.
If effectively, I mean, it depends on the situation, right? The way they've got it, it's super, super complicated. It's like, you have to have a percentage of this that you're selling to customers. And if you sell so many to customers, then you make this many, this much of your bonus. And it's like, the way they did it is, I believe, intentionally confusing, because then nobody can go through and try to figure it out and find loopholes or whatever the case. I have no idea. I'm not part of their board or anything like that. But I will say that the big thing is they've made it hard to understand the actual calculation of it. And so they're expecting, in my opinion, people to just roll over and say, okay, I guess we'll just deal with whatever happens. And
that's exactly the opposite of what's going to happen. Like, it's creating so much uncertainty, and that's anywhere, right? That you change a comp plan or you change an expectation and you make it complicated, where there's not a clear pathway to whatever your success measure is, right? To what you're going to be judged on, and that causes huge problems. If you have uncertainty, like if you take, like I was, so there's a poll that's out there on why do people leave their jobs. So let's move away for a second from like MLM. Why do people leave jobs? They 100% leave jobs. Well, not 100%, but like it's a huge percentage of the reason why is uncertainty with where you stand, with how you're measured, with any metric really, and followed closely by the supervisor. But that's partly of what creates the uncertainty. But it's overwhelmingly uncertainty, right? And so when that happens, when there's uncertainty in anything that you're doing, it doesn't incentivize. It makes you want to not work there or work on their plan. So that leads into things which you and I were talking about last night, but hopefully we'll dive in here shortly. But unintended consequences, like you got to think through these things.
Right. Well, and one of the big drivers of this is, with most network marketing companies and MLM companies out there, is that they usually have a product, and that product is sold to not just external customers, but also internal customers like the business owners or the distributors themselves. And so what happens is there's this imbalance of most of the sales coming from internal sales versus external sales. And that's where they've explained to us that this is coming from, that, FTC guidelines and things like that, are supposed to be where we have to have the majority of our sales come from external sales. And so the difficulty with that is when we run into a situation where we're being required to meet a certain number of external sales. It's one thing because we used to have a small requirement for that. I mean, we still do, to be able to get paid on other production of our team and things like that. And now that requirement's been expanded in order, not just the minimum that we've had before, but now just on our own personal volume, a certain percentage of that needs to be sent, sold externally. And for a family of four, like we actually buy a lot of our own products. We're becoming we became a product of the product. We eat, drink, and even like we wash our hands and our clothes and everything with all of our products that we have. And so when people come to our house, they don't see all these random other products out there. They see our business. And that's the whole point of being a business owner, is you use the products you have. Like somebody who sells Ford trucks doesn't go buy a Dodge truck and drive that around, right? Like they're going to buy a Ford truck and they're going to, be a product of the product. So we buy a lot of products, and this percentage has basically turned into, I don't want to go into details because I don't want to be too specific, but it's over half of our internal sales that we buy have to be externally sold as well. And so we realized that it's like, wait a minute, we already buy a large amount of products. So that means we'd have to try to make sales for a large amount of products. And to put it in perspective, the average distributor for this company sells about 1/4 of that amount every month. So you figure that out. That means we would have to sell.
I mean, it already sounds completely complicated.
Oh yeah, it's totally complicated. But we'd have to sell basically
and
4 to 5
definitely
times.
understand that they want additional sales, right, from like people outside. Like we get that, but it's not really the sales though, right? It's the percentage, which allows you to make commission on what you are selling. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so
it's like I said, it's totally complicated.
And again, it's unintended consequences. It's going to change the amount of product that your raving fans are going to buy.
Yep.
And it's just so that they can gamify their earnings.
Yep. Yeah. Well, wasn't there was something that we were talking about last night when we were kind of going over this topic, Kyle, and I'm going to let you go through it because you kind of had a better handle on it. But what was it, the Cobra effect or something like that, or whatever
let me just launch it. That'll lead into it. So there's a couple of just quick kind of pieces to this. So when we talk about unintended consequences, kind of like what we were just talking about, and you shift, like there's a shift in a metric, right? And for your case, like if sales are going to come down, so the percentage of what people are buying shifts lower to what they're selling, that ultimately is going to drop the sales in the organization, right? And because they're gamifying to try to earn. Do you know what I'm saying? Stop me if that sounds confusing, but it's a phenomenon that's been observed. It's actually there's a concept called the Goodhart's Law, and actually I was coming across this on Twitter just a day ago before you even approached me about this. But what it is like, so any observed like statistical regularity or metric, right? So any observed metric tend to like cease to be a good metric once you like focus on it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So like if closing percentage is the metric you want to focus on, like instead of allowing it to just flourish on its own, when you put pressure on it, it becomes manipulated, or
Yep.
can be, because human nature is, I'm going to find a way to make that good, even if it's not honest.
Yep.
You know? So follow me there. So
Yep.
basically it's just humans and human nature just trying to just beat the pants off that metric so they can win, you know?
Yep.
And so that's where that Cobra effect comes into play. So a lot of people heard of the Cobra effect but may not understand like what it is. So the story of that is there were too many cobras in India. So the British colonists started offering bounties on cobra heads. So initially they're like, oh, that sounds okay. Like people are going to go kill the cobras, bring the head back. They're going to earn some money. All will be good. The cobra population is going to go away. But instead, what did people do? They bred cobras to chop their head, to kill them and bring them in for a bounty. So instead of having to go out and search for these cobras and diminish the population, they kept the population growing so they could go turn it in and earn money. That's now, that metric became gamified.
Yep.
And the whole premise now is just moot. It didn't matter, right? And so then, whenever that was figured out, right, by the British colonists, they're like, well, we're not going to do this anymore. All those breeders set those cobras free, and now the population of cobras has increased. Right? So like it's
Right.
completely backwards. But
It
that's
is.
the Cobra effect, right? So there, when you're focusing on a metric, it's human nature to try to gamify it or optimize it for to win, right? And so the people wanted to make money, which that was their end goal. The British were like, well, we're just trying to get rid of this population here. And but people didn't care that. They were trying to make money, right? So there's another example of that. It's the Soviet nails, if anybody's ever heard of that. But Soviet factories set goals based on the number of nails produced. And so workers started producing thousands of really tiny nails. So they were hitting their quotas, but they were completely unusable. It's complete waste, right? And then the factories were like, oh man, we can't do this. So they changed the goals based on, instead of number of nails, to the how much they weighed, or like the total weight. So they started producing super huge nails that again were unusable. So like it all boils down to unintended consequences, right? Like let's when you, and this goes for anything even outside kind of what we're talking about from like the company changes, but like you really need to think through changes that you make in your life or in your business or whatever. Think through to as many possibilities as you possibly can. Like, what is an unintended outcome of what I'm trying to implement?
Yeah.
Because you can have the best intentions, and not all these examples are supposed to be nefarious, right? Like, not everybody's evil. That's not the point. But people just try to optimize to win, and you got to think through these scenarios to make sure that you're hitting the target of your intended goal.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that too is when you take that into consideration of what's happening with the company that we're part of is, the biggest thing is their intention is to get more customer sales, but the unintended reaction, right? The unintended circumstance that's going to happen is people are going to start faking sales. We just know it's going to happen. It's human nature. They didn't think about the human element of, well, if people are being told they have to make a certain amount of sales to be able to get their bonus and be able to get their monthly pay, like not even just the extra on top. This is literally like the pay that people get on a monthly basis from this company is being impacted based on how many customer sales you have as a percentage on your overall volume. So it's like it's all variable. It's malleable. So somebody who does very little personal, volume, but does more customer sales is going to be just fine, but they don't make a whole lot of money, or they have a large team. So we're going to see two different unintended reactions to this. Is one, people are going to drop their internal sales to let their percentage be higher, or they're going to fake those sales to make the percentage be higher. And we know it's going to happen because
So what's that mean? Like they're going to have somebody else buy their products who are their customer,
right.
and instead of you buying them directly.
Right. So things that might happen, right? So these
Yeah.
are potentials,
As an example, not you.
example. I would never do this. And I'll be honest, the thought crossed our mind and I said, no, I can't do that because that makes my integrity diminished. But
Yeah.
the thought came up of, well, what if we just created a customer account and just used our credit, did it through like my mother-in-law, because we buy products for her all the time. And I said, well, we'll just make all our orders go through her to look like customer sales. And I was like, hold up, what am I saying? I was like, this is stupid. Because if I am diminishing my morals and my values to try to make something work, then that's not like, that shouldn't be the case. I shouldn't have to lower my standards to be able to meet somebody else's metrics. And the alternative is literally.
So what does that mean? That means you're probably going to leave?
I don't know. So here's the thing, and I talked about in the description, and people who have read the description of the video, it's like, what can you do and what are things you should do? And the thing is if you're part of, I want to put this little disclaimer in here, if you're part of a company that is changing their terms or changing how you get your bonus or changing their compensation plan, this isn't professional advice. This isn't legal advice. This isn't even financial advice. This is just opinions and things that, we're talking about of what can you do? What are some things you can look for? And then you got to make the decision on your own. I don't want to be responsible for somebody leaving their thousands of dollars a month because their company changed a small percentage of their compensation plan. Like, I don't want to be that guy. But for us, the big thing is we want to be able to make it work because it's a decent income. We love the team that we're on. It's great people. The events we go to are amazing. I mean, it's opened us up to be able to travel the nation, and we've been able to better ourselves overall, and it's been a great experience. And so it's a really difficult decision for us to determine, like, is it worth the extra amount of time it's going to take us? Like the time that we're going to have to take away from our family, take away from our other opportunities, the time we're going to have to take away from our hobbies and the things we love to do to grind and grind and grind to get all these customer sales? Or is it, does it make sense to diminish our orders and, maybe try to get more sales that way? And, whatever, it's a hard decision. And we've been talking with our mentors and as part of the company and stuff, and nobody knows what to do, because the thing is that it wasn't anybody's decision within the company, like any of the business owners. It was the company as a whole that made this decision based on,
the parent
in
company.
my opinion, fear of what could potentially happen if the FTC decided to bring down the hammer. So I don't know what we're going to do personally. I want to say that we're going to stick around, but there was an idea that we had of, a way that we could serve our team at the highest level while still, not diminishing our values. And one of the thoughts we had was, well, what if we took all of our orders, if we don't want to put the time into building up our customer volume and take time away from everything else we're doing, what if we took our orders and just became a customer of somebody else, like one of our team members, our closest and most productive team member, and say, hey, we're going to help you by, being your customer, and our large order is going to basically satisfy your percentage.
Yeah, and then you're not actually working in that business anymore.
Right. And so all of
which is the biggest difference from what we were talking about earlier.
Right. Absolutely.
You're just now becoming a customer. That's it.
Right. So we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a long road here, because the changes don't actually happen until September. So we're looking at what can we do and how can we, really make it, make it to the best as we possibly can. And, we're going to try to figure out what it would take, and just the kind of, we want to hear what some of the recommendations come from upline, because if we get some pretty low integrity recommendations, that might solidify our decision of which direction to go. But I don't want that to be the case, but But otherwise, I mean, here's the big thing about it is, let's say, you're listening to this right now and you've dealt with this in the past, or maybe you're dealing with this right now, or this comes up for you in the future. The number one thing I can say is, have a conversation with your mentor and be honest, be transparent. Make sure that they're aware of exactly what you're feeling and exactly, what you do and don't want to do. And make sure that they know that you are willing to take feedback and you're willing to take advice, but don't push yourself to do something that you either A, don't feel is right, or B, don't feel is worth your time. Because look at the cost versus reward, right? We're all in a business, in any sort of marketing endeavor, any sort of entrepreneurial endeavor, you're still running a business. So it's a matter of, is it something that is going to be a better use of your time? Is it going to take you more time now to make the same amount of money? So that's the thing.
Well, let's talk for just a second too, just so the folks kind of are clear on the kind of the pressure that might be on this company. So the FTC wants to make sure, like, affiliate companies or MLMs are not cash gifting companies, right? Correct. They want to make sure the product is what's being paid for, and ultimately, it's like, it comes down to like taxes, right? But they just want to make sure that the product is what's being paid, and not just money being passed, just from being part of the community. And so, Josh, you explain this better than I do, but
Sure.
but ultimately that's what it's about, right? And so, some of the things to maybe look for when you are considering an MLM or an affiliate company is making sure that you're not the one who's directly receiving the payment for the product or service,
Yep.
but they pay. It's a centralized payment system where they take the payment, the company takes the payment, and then pays you individually your commission. So it's more set up like a traditional style business. But that is one of the things that you can look for in your opportunities to help potentially avoid something like this in the future. Yep. For at least this particular reason.
Yeah. Well, and
am I saying that right?
Right. No, you explained it awesome. And honestly, the only point I will add to that is the big reason why the FTC gets involved is because back in, if anybody remembers Bernie Madoff and the Enron days, he had this giant Ponzi scheme where he took money from investors and, talked about a fake product and basically gave them this business opportunity, said, you're going to make a ton of money, and took everybody's money and never delivered a product. But he delivered payments to people by bringing more people in and saying, hey, if you go sign up 3 people, I'll give you a bonus. And so they sign up 3 people, and then, they sign up 3 more people and they get another bonus. And then those 3 people they signed up have to go sign up 3 people. And a lot of people are like, well, that's what a pyramid scheme is. And it's like, you're right. But the difference
because it's just pushing cash and not a product, correct, or a real
you're
service.
Not pushing a product.
There's no value being delivered.
Right. And so what a lot of people will talk about is they'll say, well, all of these MLMs out there are just glorified pyramid schemes. And it says they can be viewed that way, especially if the only people buying the products are internal customers. So if you've got a lot of people who are part of the company, and everybody who's a business owner, right, somebody who's a distributor is the only one on your team buying products, and you're not selling to customers, you're basically creating a pyramid scheme, because you are being paid on the recruitment of other people versus being paid on the sales of products to internal and external customers, with the majority, over half of your income, coming from external sales. So that's where, we look at certain opportunities that are around social media where people are like, hey, I made $50, $100, $250, $1,000, $5,000. And people are like, sweet, I want to do that. And then you get involved and someone's like, all right, you send me this $1,000 on PayPal, and then you get access to the system. And it's like, hold up. You want me to send you directly money for something that is labeled by this company. Why am I paying you? Why am I not paying the company? And that's where you get into those murky waters. And that's the kind of stuff you want to look for, because those things, they can just change stuff on a fly and you're susceptible to that. Now, here's the kicker is our company sells products. We sell products all around the globe. And the products are mainly consumable products. So things you can eat, drink, and use. And even though we have a product that's solid and the company's been around for a number of years, they're making this change. So it doesn't mean that only these companies that are cash gifting, that are, being paid on recruitment, are the ones that are being affected. Any company can be affected. What you want to look for is ideally, you want to look for people that talk about things like not wanting to change the compensation plan or whatever the case may be, or look for things where there's not that, there's not the chance of it being
too many. You can segue a little bit here, because it doesn't matter. Whatever company that you're with, like, somebody can change the terms and services. So how do you hedge that? You build your list, right? You control your customer relationships. You make sure that you have good relationship with your audience. And then if there's ever a negative change that like really is going to affect first your customer, then you and your ability to earn a living, you make the pivot, right? But then you've mitigated your loss because you have good relationship with your audience, and you can deliver the message in a proper way. Like, you can explain kind of the situation, and people are going to be like, you know what, like, I trust you. When you build that know, like, and trust, then the next opportunity that you move to, or the next product that you want to add to your arsenal to promote, they're gonna follow you there.
Yep. And
that's ultimately
important.
That's what the marketing piece is all about. You're creating know, like, and trust. So to kind of come way full circle on the topic, you create the know, like, and trust so that when something potentially negative happens with your opportunity, not saying it will, but you got to hedge.
Yep.
Your audience will come with you, and you're not going to really skip a beat.
And just to be really, really coming around full circle on this, is social media accounts do not count as hedging your opportunity or hedging your audience. You need to have an email list if you want to have full control over your audience. You got to have
back it up in an Excel file on your
PC. or back it up in an Excel file or something. Download.
No, you back up your email list to yourself.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, is what people don't realize is that now most email marketing platforms, most of the services or, email service providers, they're not going to go anywhere, right? A lot of these companies, they've built a giant business. People know a lot of the big names out there. And so a lot of these bigger companies, they're not going to go anywhere, right? You've got the big three, which I'll call them the big three. You've got GetResponse and Aweber and all these other companies. They're probably not going to go anywhere. But
those two, Josh.
Yeah, just those two. Yeah. Well, that's those two. Yeah. What GetResponse, Aweber, Active Campaign, those are like the big ones that most people use.
Yeah.
There's other ones like
MailChimp, but
SendGrid.
You'll find out quickly that's not great for affiliate.
Right. But the big thing with that is that those companies are likely not going to go anywhere, but you still want to protect yourself and make sure that you have your email list personally. And what you want to do is you want to make sure, like Kyle said, is export those somewhere, like, keep them in an Excel file or a Google Sheets doc or whatever the case you want to do, and keep them locally. So then that way, if something ever happens, then you have that ability to save that. Now, a quick little legal disclaimer for that, because I know this being being certified with email marketing and things like that, is if you save a list and then you go a number of time or a amount of time in between saving it again, you need to re-download that list, because you're probably going to have people that have unsubscribed or people that have bounced off your list, and you don't want to keep those contacts, because if you inadvertently email them later, you can get in big trouble from the FTC, because actually this wouldn't be the FCC. Now, so many acronyms out there for government entities, but Basically you can get in trouble with the government because you emailed somebody that said they didn't want to be emailed by you. So just be wary that, or not wary, but be smart when you're saving your list, is that you do, if you're going to export it externally, do it consistently and do it in a way that allows you to update that list while you're going through your process. So I do mine monthly. So I go in once a month and I export my email list. And then that way I
All your
remove
scrubs stay fresh and you delete the old one. Yeah.
Correct. Exactly. And my automation that works, it deletes people on a 60-day time frame. So every month I'm going to have.
By the way, he's going to come out with a video pretty soon.
What was that?
You're going to come out with a video pretty soon on how to do the automation.
Oh yeah, it's on the
plug for my buddy here.
Yeah, thank you. It is going to get out there. Actually, I think
that's on your YouTube channel or in your group.
It'll be in my YouTube channel.
Okay, go to Josh's YouTube channel. Yep. You can find some of those videos linked to our YouTube channel here.
Yeah, it is there. It is. There's both Kyle and our YouTube channel are both linked.
And that's the other hedge with your audience, by the way. It's not just email, but when you cross promote your platforms, and you're able to keep your audience moving, right? So you can something to happen on one platform, some of that audience is going to be over on the other. Plus, you're delivering different value on different pieces. So anyway, I digress on that.
Yeah, no, you're good, dude. And honestly, that's a great position to put it in terms of what type of marketing out there can you do. A lot of people. So here's a quick little story. Is this whole change that's happening within this company? There are people in this company that their only source of income is this company, that they've built a lifestyle around this. And I'm worried about
incomes.
Right. Yeah. So, they're on a single income. And the problem is that I'm worried about some of these people that I've built relationships with personally, that they live off of this income only. They have little side things they do, but the majority of their income is from this. And what's going to happen is if they don't meet these requirements, they may have to find other ways to bring in income. They may have to look at going back and getting a job. They may have to look at, whatever the case may be. And
that's the importance of making sure that you have, multiple streams of income, but you have one source that buys another source of income, of which, reinvests into something else, right? Yep. So whether that's for example, your 9-to-5 into a business that produces an income that you can invest in the stock market, which produces dividends or growth stocks, or maybe it's crypto or something, but it's the circle of keeping your cash moving. And I think we mentioned that last time for sure, but that is definitely a mantra. Keep putting your money to work so you're not ever stuck like these people potentially are, where they don't have just a little bit of income coming in from the side. You got to stay within your lifestyle means and put that money to work.
Yep.
So that you're never in a position, whether it's you get fired from your 9-to-5 or a company changes their terms and compensation package that you've been invested in. These companies, they don't care about you. The only person that's going to care about you is you.
Yep.
So take care of yourself.
And yes, there are companies out there that, they care about you as long as you're part of their team, right? And they may care about you just as a person, but just understand that if it comes down to someone caring about you or themselves, they're not going to pick you over themselves. Same thing with these companies. If it comes down to your lifestyle and their wants and needs and their dreams and their goals, they're not going to. In their money. Yeah.
It's always about money.
Actually, I do another shameless plug here. I did a blog about that, of things that, you want to make sure that you're doing, and ways to promote positive, team atmosphere. And so we had a blog on that where I talked about don't mess with people's money, don't mess with people's spouses, don't mess with people's teams. It's the same thing, is that these companies, they don't care about those values. Those are personal values that you want to put together for your team. But when it comes to a company, for them, it's all about their goals and their money. So when they want to change something, they're not going to think about, well, does Josh down here, does he have a good source of income that's going to be impacted by this change? No, they're thinking holistically, what is better for the company as a whole and what doesn't completely ruin the entire company, but can potentially, I guess, quote unquote, trim the fat. And that's what's going to happen.
What have you done for me lately?
What was that?
What have you done for me lately type of a situation.
Right, exactly. And I will say this, and this is my last little
you gotta go because you're going on vacation or something.
Well,
or no, not vacation. You got a grad party.
Yeah, we got a grad party to go to here a little bit. So, but I will say this is my last little piece is that when it comes to this situation and the way that this is happening, I actually do feel that this is going to be a major impact in this company. I do feel that this is going to change a lot of people negatively. And I feel that there's going to be a lot of lives that are going to be impacted where people are going to end up changing their entire thought process on what they wanted to do with their life. And
the system's going to be gamified. You watch.
Yep. And it's gonna end up being
a major unintended
where the people who excel are going to do one of two things. Either one, they're going to push themselves harder than ever before to make this goal, because it is an astronomical goal for people that have that order a lot of products. I mean, even for anybody who doesn't order a lot of products, it's still going to be a high goal. And it's a force.
Hang on, just to be really clear about that. You're getting commission off your customers, but it's based on the percentage of what they buy versus what you buy. So you could just be getting started and you buy a lot of product. So say you buy $500 worth of product a month, but you have like 2 customers that only buy $200 of product a month. You're making your income on that $200, but now that there's a sliding scale based on what is the ratio of product they buy to product you buy. So if you don't have a lot of customers and are just getting started, or maybe you've kind of sat idle where you're buying, still that $500 and you only still have those 2 customers, that commission that you've been making is now being diminished drastically because of that ratio. So either you need to go get, that person needs to go get a bunch more customers, or the easier version of that is to diminish the amount of product they buy so that their ratio is in line with the commission they've been making off those 2 customers.
Right. Which here's the other,
I'm already gamifying it in my own head trying to explain it.
Right. And here's the other downside of that is when you diminish the amount of product that you buy, now you no longer are a product of the product. Now you're just basically a distributor.
And the company's going to suffer overall too in their total sales.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm looking at this company does billions of dollars a year in sales. And I have a feeling that the next couple fiscal years for them is going to be a struggle because people are going to try to figure out how to make this work. And, to go back to my point is, either one way they're going to grind their asses off to try to get this amount and try to
some people will
make this work. Some people will, or the other people are going to fake it.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to have their mom become the customer and buy all the product they were buying.
Yep.
And they will buy like 2 things. And
yep.
So maybe their sales won't suffer, but it's like the company's sales may not suffer, but it's just the same shit. It's just a different way.
Right. Well, and here's the other part of it too. What gets really sticky with that is, just like any other business opportunity is when you buy the products from yourself, you get a discount, right? There's an whatever you call it, uplift of the upcharge. There you go. That's the right term, right? There's an upcharge from what you pay to what your customers pay. And that difference is your profit. So what's going to happen when people start paying that higher amounts as a customer account? They start faking it, right? They go through like their mom or their brother.
Their commission is their discount.
Right. Their commission is their discount. And so what's going to look like is it's going to look like they're actually going to make more money, but in reality, they're not. It's just going to be flat because they're going to pay more up front, but then they're going to get that commission on the back end. So here's where this gets really tricky too. It's going to hurt people to do it that way because this company is going to send them a 1099 and say, hey, we paid you this much more money this year because you got more customer commissions. And so the people who fake it are going to end up getting hurt on the taxes on the back end.
Look at that.
So it doesn't matter how people do it. Whoever does it this way, like any way they look at it, the only way that it can really be a benefit to anybody is going to be that grind to get it done. But even then, the negative aspect of that is the time lost of the life that you have, because you have to spend more time finding customers. And customers are even a rolling scale, right? Like everybody knows that customers come and go. So you can grind and grind and grind, and you can get to your level you need. And if you slow down and you get a couple customers that drop off, you got to go back to the grind. So it's going to be a constant grind for these people to be constantly finding new customers. And the only time they're going to be able to back off is if they get so many customers that they can afford to back off. And some of those customers start dropping down just ever so slightly. And when they get close to that threshold, they go back to the grind. It's going to be this cycle, right? It's going to be grind, and then wait for a little bit and then go back to the grind to get it built back up. And it's going to be this sliding scale that goes up and down. It's just as I'm talking about it, I'm going, man, that sounds shitty. I'm like, I don't want to, like, I get it though, but I mean, it's a business. You got to run business owners look at all the founders of the companies back in the day of like,
running a business is a grind anyway. Like, let's not sugarcoat that.
Right.
It's a grind. And so you just got to optimize the tools at your disposal so that you can get that time freedom that you want.
Right. And that's, I mean, even for me, I do a lot of content creation. I write blogs, I record videos, we do these lives. This is all grind. We don't sit here and, this isn't automated.
It's a Sunday morning on the holiday weekend. Here we are.
Right. Exactly. We could, this is a potential where instead of sitting here doing this, I could have been, doing whatever else. It's 70 degrees outside right now. So it's beautiful. It could be outside chilling with my kid as he's playing in his new sandbox. I mean, but this is what we do, and we don't do it for us. We do it for you guys. We do it for our listeners, our viewers, our readers, the people that we know that this stuff will help them. And so that's the big part of it. But
for sure. Well, sorry you're going through all that, buddy.
Hey, here's the thing is this is what really solidifies being an entrepreneur. Let's just be real, is you have to be able to roll with the punches. You got to take those lumps and say, okay, what do I need to do to make it better? What do I need to do to move it forward? And sometimes, we talked about a few episodes ago about pivoting, right? When you need to pivot, sometimes things like this that happen make you need to pivot. I don't know that we're going to do that. I don't know that that's going to be the decision.
You may not have enough information just yet, too.
Yeah, we don't. But it's a matter of, it sucks to go through these things, but it makes us tougher, right? It makes us, and it gives us the ability to help somebody else that goes through the same thing later.
Dude, 100%. And that's what it's all about. Like, the simplest definition of entrepreneurship is you're a problem solver.
Yep.
And you solve enough people's problems, enough big other people's problems, you can make a lot of money. And solving problems includes solving your own, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So
cool. Well, you got places to be, my man. So does our wonderful audience. Everybody have a great holiday weekend. Again, appreciate all the veterans out there that are able to help us live the life that we're able to live. So
yes, thank you so much for your service. We appreciate you all.
All right. Well, we'll catch everybody in another couple weeks. Everybody have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
Hey guys.